Introduction. The Chinese LD-10, LD stands for LD-10, meaning thunder and lightning, is an air-launched anti-radiation missile, ARM. It is a variant of the air-to-air SD-10A missile, but meant for suppression of enemy air defenses, SCAD. The LD-10 retains the overall aerodynamic layout of the SD-10A, but has the active radar seeker of the SD-10A replaced with a new passive radar homing seeker. The LD-10 has been designed such as to be retrofitted faster and with minimal modifications to launch platforms, which have been cleared for use with the SD-10A missile. These include the J-8, J-10, J-11 and the JF-17. The LD-10 was first revealed to the public in the 9th Zhuhai Air Show held in November 2012. CIPRI reports that Pakistan has received 50, out of 100 ordered, LD-10 anti-radiation missiles from China in 2014 and 2015. These missiles were ordered in 2011. Specifications of LD-10. Length, 3.93 meters. Diameter, 0.20 meters. Wingspan, 0.67 meters. Fin span, 0.75 meters. Weight, 199 kilograms. Warhead, 20 kilograms. Propulsion, solid dual-thrust rocket motor with lofted profile. Range, over 60 kilometers. Altitude, 21 kilometers. Speed, Mach 4. Press spacebar to continue. While for previous weapons training missions we have started on the air, near the targets, this time we will start with the engine running, but at a Napa Air Base. The reason is that the LD-10 missile has an INS guidance system to allow it to hit pre-planned targets without assistance from the launching aircraft. For this training mission, we want to show the INS alignment procedure that this weapon needs, but if we ask DCS to start on the air it will have already performed the alignment and we won't be able to see how it is done. We will attack two known locations where the enemy has set up early warning radars. On the briefing is a diagram of our flight route. One of the EWR is at waypoint 5 and the other is at waypoint 6. These are the primary targets and we will award you 25 points for the destruction of each. In addition, there are two SAM batteries near these radars, but we don't know their exact locations. They are to be considered secondary targets and you earn 15 points for each one that you manage to destroy. If you choose to perform the return trip, you will earn an additional 20 points if you land safely, back at Napa. Press spacebar to continue.
Request rearming.
Load armament.
Copy.
Contact the ground crew. By using the T4 switch on the HOTAS, either COM1 or COM2 positions will do, or by pressing the / key. Press F11 to get to the main communications menu. Then, press F1, rearm and refuel. On the armament window that will show up, select the following items. Stations 1 and 7, air-to-air missile PL-5E2. Stations 2 and 6, dual-arm missiles LD-10. Stations 3 and 5 to 800 liters fuel tanks, for extended range. Station 4, SPJ pod, for self-protection. Set the internal fuel to maximum, and as we expect to deal only with radar SAMs, reduce the flares to 0, in order to load more chaff. Press spacebar to continue. Once the crew has finished the loading process, that can take a couple of minutes. Load data cartridge. Whenever the aircraft is rearmed, you will need to reload the data transfer cartridge, DTC. Click on the cartridge again to load it onto the reader. Now, click the loading process lasts several seconds, during which the message DTC trans will be shown. Once the loading is finished, the message DTC locked will appear again. Press spacebar to continue. When we load a data cartridge, the aircraft's mission computer updates its stores database, with the details of the weapons that we now have on our stations. The alarm before taxi checks. Check that the parking brake switch is set to norm, and that on the UFCP panel, confirm that the waypoint advance is set to auto. Press spacebar to continue. Set the next waypoint to 01, by clicking on the arrow, then input 01 on the UFC keypad, and then click the arrow. Check that there are no lights lit on the warning panel, on the bottom right side of the front panel. On the status panel, at the top right of the front panel, check that the pitch trim, roll trim and yaw trim indicators are lit. On the status panel, check if the nose wheel steering and SW indicator is illuminated. Before starting to taxi, we should contact the air traffic controller, ATC, and request clearance. We will begin by tuning the COM1 radio to the ATC frequency. Today we are at Anapa Air Base and its ATC frequency is 250 MHz, corresponding to the preset 126. On the UFC panel, click on the return button. To make sure that, OK, now that the radio is tuned to Anapa's ATC, click on the HOTAS COM1 button and the communications menu should appear on the screen. Click on F5, ATC. Click on F1 to select Anapa's ATC. Click F1 again to request taxi clearance. After a few seconds, ATC should answer. Take note of which specific runway you're assigned. If ATC does not answer, it might be because there are other traffic on the taxiways. Wait a bit and it will clear you out as soon as the taxiways are free. Press space taxi and takeoff. We are now ready to start the flight. Increase throttle and let the aircraft move forward. Once the aircraft is moving, press the wheel brakes to confirm their operation. Release the wheel brakes and resume the taxi. Be careful of other traffic that may be near you. Good. Now turn right and proceed along the taxiway, towards the runway. Stop just short of the runway, and then contact ATC to request permission to take off. Once permission has been granted, enter the runway, align on its center and stop there.
Anapa, infield 1-1, request takeoff. Infield 1-1, Anapa, you are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300 at QSE 29.77.
Takeoff check. Set navigation mode, using the HOTAS T1 switch or the number 1 key. While usually the takeoff can be done without using flaps, this time we are taking off at almost maximum. OK, we are now ready for takeoff. Follow the usual procedure. 1. Hold wheel brakes, increase throttle to 80% RPM. Check instruments and alerts. If everything is well, release the brakes and accelerate to 100% RPM. 2. Reaching 120 knots, pull back softly on the stick until the aircraft nose touches on the air.
Altitude, altitude, altitude.
4. Retract the landing gear. 5. Retract the flaps. Climb towards waypoint 01, at 3,000 feet altitude, with a speed of 350 knots.
Landing gear.
Now, turn right
Landing
towards
gear.
waypoint 02. Maintain 350
Landing
knots
gear.
and 3,000 feet altitude.
Landing gear. 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 Landing gear.
We will now enable the data link, but in order to do it safely, please first enable the autopilot. Good, now enable the alt option. Now that the autopilot is active, we will set up the data link. Click on the arrow key twice, until a cursor appears on the display. Then input 199 using the keypad. Finally, click on the arrow again to enter the value. Next, click on the arrow to select Master Mode. Finally, click on the arrow to select Perfect. The data link is now active. On the right, MFCD increase its scale to appreciate the data link information. We will now prepare our armament. First, make sure that the autopilot is still active. Next, select air-to-ground mode with Set Master Arm to R. On the SMS, we should power up our LD. The missiles are now powered up and the align process has started. When the highlighted timer reaches 0, they will be fully aligned. In the meantime, we will explain the main parameters of the LD-10. Press spacebar to continue. Mode. The LD-10 has 3 modes of operation. ACT, Active Mode. This mode uses the INS of the weapon to head towards a pre-designated point and then look for radar emissions nearby. It is used against known enemy radar installations. We will use this mode against the enemy's EWR radars located at waypoints 5 and 6. SP, Self-Protect Mode. Used against radars that are tracking or have locked our own aircraft. We will use this mode against any SAM we may encounter. PA, Passive Mode. On this mode, the LD-10 is launched on a heading where we suspect there might be enemy radars emitting. The missile will choose by itself which enemy radar to attack. For now, set the mode to SP. We will change it to ACT once we are near waypoint 5 and 6. Press spacebar to continue. The remaining settings don't really apply to the LD-10, as we will never need to fire them in salvos. The highlighted item is the weapon type, confirming that we are setting up an LD-10 missile. We will now return to nav mode, while the LD-10 finishes its INS alignment. Select nav using the T1 middle switch on the HOTAS, or the number 1 key. Now, turn left towards waypoint 3. Maintain 350 knots but begin a climb to 10,000 feet altitude, as we want to lure the enemy radars into action so that we can begin to detect them. Now, we will enable the self-protect on the AAP panel, enable electric power for the SPJ pod, by clicking on the highlighted button. The SPJ pod will perform a bit test that lasts about 15 seconds. The bit test has finished, now the SPJ pod is on standby mode. Press Type 1. The pod emits jamming only when we are radar locked by an emitter. Type 2. The pod emits jamming as soon as a radar begins tracking our aircraft. For this mission, leave it on Type 1 and press spacebar to continue. Forward. Emit only on the forward hemisphere. Backward. Emit only on the rear hemisphere. F+B. Emit in both directions. For this mission, leave it on forward and press spacebar to continue. The SPJ pod is now ready to use. You can start or stop the jamming with D2 forward on the HOTAS. The mode field will change from standby to JAM when the jammer is operating. Let's see if our LD-10 missiles have finished alignment. Select air-to-ground mode with the T1 down switch on the HOTAS. On the left MFCD, the align field should show 0 as remaining time. Press spacebar to continue. From now on, the only important parameter for firing our missiles is the mode. Basically, we will use mode ACT for the pre-planned targets with a fixed and known position. In our case, these will be the targets located at waypoints 5 and 6. For any other radar threat, we will use mode SP, self-protect. For now, set the mode to SP. Press spacebar to continue. Return to nav mode by clicking T2 middle on the HOTAS, or using the number 1 key. Also, since we are entering a combat zone, turn off the exterior lights by setting the exterior master switch to its mid position. We have reached waypoint 3. Turn slightly to the right, towards waypoint 04. Maintain 350 knots and 10,000 feet altitude. The HSI is showing a SAM-6 radar head. Take the following steps. Switch to air-ground mode using the switch T2 down on the HOTAS. Confirm on the SMS that the selected LD-10 missile is set to SP mode. Don't fire towards it yet, as we may be still out of range. Wait until its radar is tracking you, its icon will turn red.
Tracking, tracking, tracking. 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 Tracking, tracking, tracking.
The SAM-6 battery has fired towards us. Press T2 forward to enable the jammer. Turn to the right until the SAM symbol on the HSI is on our left. Try to visually detect the missile. When the missile is nearer, press D2F to release chaff. Repeat if needed.
Tracking, tracking, tracking. Tracking, tracking, tracking. Tracking, tracking, tracking. Tracking, 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 tracking. Tracking, tracking, tracking.
SAM-6 radar, at grid XQ98, destroyed. Now that the SAM battery is destroyed, head towards waypoint 5 and attack the radar site located there. We are within range of the early warning radar at waypoint 5, let's fire at it. Switch to nav mode, D1 middle, and select waypoint 05. Switch back to air ground mode, D1 down. On the SMS, set the LD-10 missile to ACT mode, so it will target the current waypoint. Turn the aircraft towards the radar. Press button S3 on the HUDs to fire the missile.
Tracking, tracking, tracking. Warning. Tracking,
Hold up.
warning.
Hold up.
Early warning radar at waypoint
Warning.
5, destroyed.
Warning.
Now that the first early warning radar is
Warning.
destroyed, head now towards waypoint 6 and attack the radar
Warning.
site located there.
Warning. 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 Warning.
The HSI is showing a SAM-11 radar ahead. Take the
Warning.
following steps. Switch to air-ground mode
Warning.
using the switch T2 down on the HOTAS. Confirm on the
Warning.
SMS that the selected LD-10 missile is set to SP
Warning.
mode. Don't fire towards it yet, as we may be
Warning.
still out of range. Wait until its radar is tracking you. Its icon will turn red. We are within range of the early warning radar at waypoint 6, let's fire at it. Switch to nav mode and select waypoint 06. Switch back to air-ground mode. On the SMS, set the LD-10 missile to ACT mode, so it will target the current waypoint. Turn the aircraft towards the enemy radar. Press button S3 on the HOTAS, to fire the missile. Early warning radar at waypoint 6, destroyed. Now that the second early warning radar is destroyed, head towards waypoint 7 and attack the SAM battery located there. We are too close to the SAM-11, let's launch an LD-10 towards it. The checklist is: switch to air-ground mode. The LD-10 missile set to SP mode. Turn the aircraft towards the SAM. Press button S3 on the HUDs to fire the missile.
Tracking. 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 Tracking.
The SAM-11 battery has fired towards us. Press T2 forward to enable the jammer. Turn to the left, until the SAM symbol on the HSI is on our right. Try to visually detect the missile. When the missile is nearer, press T2 AFD to release chaff. Repeat if needed.
Tracking. 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 Tracking.
Since the distance towards the next waypoint is rather long, you can accelerate time with left control plus C. Be sure to set autopilot level first. You can return to normal time with left shift plus C. Also, we are now leaving the combat zone, so turn the external lights on by right-clicking the master light switch. Now click on the Jet button to get onto the Selective Jettison subpage. This is the Selective Jettison page, where you will select which stations to eject. On this case, select stations 3 and 5. They get marked with a small box. Press spacebar once both stations are selected. Contact an app as ATC and report inbound.
Manapa, infield 1-1, inbound. Infield 1-1, Manapa, fly heading 078, 420, QFE 29.77, runway 22, to pattern altitude.
You have reached waypoint 9. Reduce speed and altitude. Turn right 180 degrees, towards Anapa. Perform a visual landing. Contact Anapa's ATC and request landing.
Enfield 1-1, cleared for visual, contact tower. Anapa, infield 1-1, request landing. Anapa, infield 1-1, request landing. Anapa, infield 1-1, request landing. Enfield 1-1, Anapa, cleared to land, runway 22.
Touchdown.
Warning. Warning.